To show how to install a processor on AM4 Plus with a basic board by Asus. Step one is find some gloves that you can work with. This is to make things easier. Stuff gets dirty, and also static electricity. Once you have the gloves on, unpack your motherboard. Well, right here we've unpacked the main motherboard and the accessory parts. SATA cord, that's important later to connect hard drives and more SATA. Now, an important thing is the I/O component. This I/O component needs to be installed onto the case. The main reason this needs to be attached is because every case is different. My old case had a different one of these. Boom. So on this, you kind of just have to use some muscle. You know, once it's flushed, be all good. Make sure it's properly in. You should hear clicking sounds. Also, this is important that it's flushed, because once you put on the motherboard, you can't have this pushing on the motherboard incorrectly. Now we're back to the essentials. This you do have some heat sink stuff that we're going to put on the processor, and then we're also going to install the solid state and the RAM before installing the official motherboard into the case. So once you've unpacked the motherboard, just do a gross examination of it, you know, CPU, you know, power supply to the CPU, where the RAM goes in these four components, where the power of the motherboard goes, where the SATA goes is on these four. These are where the graphic cards go. If you open up the manual to the thing, they'll show you more details about the things. The important detail here is that you usually run the two RAMs on every other component, so A1 and B1 be same, and A2 and B2 would be the same. So I'll show you what that means. As you can see, I've done every other one because that's how dual channel works. Dual channel RAM. So what we have here is the heat fan right there and the actual CPU right here. CPU is going to go right there. In order to open up the little slot, you move this from up and down. This is like the lock. Alright, and key thing to recognize when handling CPUs are the pins. If you mess up the pins, there's no coming back from that. I mean, you could try to even them out, but it's near impossible, right? So just handle with care. Also, it only fits in one direction. Though it looks like a square, there's only one way of putting this in, and usually you can tell by this little arrow on the bottom left-hand corner will match up to a similar arrow right there, if you can see, in the middle of the screen. And it's in. Did kind of shake a little bit there. It's pretty hard of a maneuver, especially when you're stressed, but I don't think any of the pins were damaged just because I didn't drop it, and it's all good. Now we're going to close this. This is the locking mechanism. So now the processor's in, but the heat cooler is not in. Therefore, we got to do that next. But we won't. We're going to do that next. So this is the heat thing, and put about that much, a grain of rice, onto the actual CPU. not too much. Some of that will get under, so just that much. Not very much. Now, apply the heat lamp, the heat cooler. Alright, that was pretty hard. First I had to remove this for other types of fans, then install this, and it was pretty hard to get both this side in and this side in. Basically just use all four, screw each four simultaneously, if that makes any sense. Now we're going to move on to installing the M2 drive. Lay this flat and then put in a screw, easy enough. Samsung is the most well-known. Now that we have all the components, and which it was pretty hard right here, the screw to add in the M2 drive. Once we have all these components in, this is the end of part one, because the next part will be the case, installing this into the case. Thank you.